Voice. Thanks for tuning in again. Peter Kefalas here reporting. So we're going to take a look at, in this segment, Whole Foods. So Whole Foods is obviously a supermarket that is part of the Jeff Bezos creation, Amazon, so on and so forth. They're here in New York, a lot of them in Manhattan and the other boroughs. I'm sure they're all over the other parts of the country. Most people should at least know who they are, and I think they have a pretty robust delivery service for those of you who shop there. I personally don't. But we all know initially when that company was built, they were very public to say that they would even take a loss for a while because they wanted to basically kill their competition, and they figured if they took a loss but could drive other people out of areas or out of that market or those markets altogether, it would put them in a position of dominance. I don't know the stats on how many other rivals or competitors have been pushed out of any markets or altogether because of them, but just something to note on, at least when their initial inception. So there was another article in the New York Post recently where they were calling it liberating Whole Foods. So what does that mean? That means that there are these left-winger nuts who have an issue with Jeff Bezos' recent, more conservative stance with President Trump, and also his newspaper that he controls, the Washington Post, which was typically known as a very left-leaning, liberal paper. In more recent times, with Trump coming back in his second presidency, they've become a little bit more conservative, if you will. Not sure why. We've all heard him say he wants to work with President Trump to stop regulations, to grow business, and we've seen him at some events. So maybe, maybe not. I don't know enough about the guy personally, so let's see what his intentions are. But in any event, there are people who are stealing from there, and these aren't necessarily homeless people or people who don't have money, or people on hard times. These are people who are simply stealing, not because they cannot afford the food there, but to stick it to Jeff Bezos because they don't like his political shift right now. So basically they're calling it liberating, and like I said, this goes into the fact that he also is controlling the Washington Post. So they're basically shoplifting because they're upset about the shift in political views from the Washington Post and Bezos has taken recently. And Carlson, his name was Carson, C-A-R-S-O-N, a regular thief at Wholesale's Food, said that he and his friends are not stealing, but, I quote, liberating, quote unquote, items that they steal from Whole Foods. So now we're at the point, at least here in New York, and I know obviously in California, other parts of the country, but here in New York specifically, where we've lost countless pharmacies, Rite Aids, CVS's, Walgreens, et cetera, because of the theft, the violence on their employees who've been, stabbed and hurt and beat up. And we've all seen the videos and seen it ourselves. I've personally seen countless incidents, how many years already here in my own neighborhood, countless incidents, and the cops are there almost every day because of shoplifters. So now we have another company, Whole Foods, who has a rather large footprint, at least here in the New York City area. And you have these people who are not stealing because they are hungry and have no food. They're not stealing because they don't, they need to eat. I'm not justifying stealing, but they're just simply stealing because, quote unquote, they're liberating items from Jeff Bezos and his Whole Foods supermarket chain because of his recent shift in politics from very liberal to more conservative and more wanting to work with President Trump. So regardless what you think of Bezos or Trump or anybody else out there, I'm not condoning stealing. You shouldn't be stealing because obviously when you're stealing, it's going to create a higher price for all of us. And obviously those folks like Whole Foods or any other store that you're stealing from are paying a lot of taxes. They're employing a lot of our fellow citizens. And they're also creating a lot of indirect jobs as well. People have to clean, people have to make those products, sell those products to them, ship them there, so on and so on. So, not another piece of good news for New York, considering that we don't have the shoplifting at least under control yet, in my opinion, and we're still seeing countless stores boarded up for rent still for a long period of time, and we're still seeing an exodus of the big pharmacies, which obviously isn't good. In some communities, it's really bad because they don't have anywhere else to go in that community to purchase stuff at the pharmacy. So I just want to see, what you guys out there think. I'm going to go ahead and put up, let's see if we can put up a screenshot of that article here. And anyway, let me know. What do you guys think in general? Has the shoplifting in New York City gotten any better, the same, any worse? And what do you guys think of these left-wingers liberating, quote-unquote, items that they're stealing, steaks and cheese and drinks, whatever they're stealing, from Whole Foods because they have a political disagreement with the owner and founder, Jeff Bezos, and the Washington Post, obviously. Anyway, like and subscribe if you haven't done so. Peter Kefalas with Queen's Voice. As always, we greatly appreciate you tuning in. We'll be back soon. Take care, guys.